Hello and good morning. Today we're talking about all things happening in the West, Keir Starmer stepping down, new Colombian president, and also the shooting that happened in Montreal, Canada yesterday. We're also moving over to Japan, where we're talking about Japan today. We usually focus on Korea, but we're going to talk about Japan. Shohei Ohtani being canceled by feminists for having a second child, and also rape allegations. And as you know how it goes with false rape allegations, nothing happens to them, but we'll talk about that. And then we'll also talk about Juneteenth. This past Friday was Juneteenth, so this past weekend we saw tons of celebrations and slavery reenactments from Black people all across the country. So we'll talk about what that means. All of that and more coming up on The Kangmin Lee Show. Hello and good morning. Happy Tuesday. It is currently June 23rd, 2026. I am your host, Kangmin Lee of The Kangmin Lee Show. This is where we talk all things politics, faith, culture, trying to restore faith, identity, and civilization from east to west. As you see here today, I'm wearing a Dodgers jersey because of Shohei Ohtani. We're going to talk about Shohei Ohtani, possibly one of the greatest MLB players right now. Although I'm not Japan, it's just nice to see an Asian dude just kill it in the MLB. I'm a little tribal in that way. I will admit, I can't get away from that tribal instinct, you know? But before we get into our stories, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. Make sure to send super chats. We will answer your super chats at the end of the show. Leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. Before we get into all these news segments, I do want to talk about a little bit about how radicalizing it is whenever you go to the gym. And I don't know where you all live in the United States or across the world, but most metropolitan areas in America are very, very diverse. And when I mean diverse, you're going to have a lot of people who trace their origins and ancestry from the third world, namely, parts of Africa and the global south. And nothing is more radicalizing for me for remigration than going to the gym and smelling the stench of these people. I know it sounds awful, but it is horrendous. Whenever I go to Korea and work out in Korean gyms, it doesn't smell. You go to the Korean subway, and even when it's packed, you go on line 2 on the Korean subway in Seoul, and people are just packed. You're just squished. There's so many people trying to come home from work, try to get to their local work dinner, corporate dinner, whatever you have, whatever they have in the evenings, whatever plans they have, it is crammed. You can't breathe. It is so smushed, but it doesn't stink. You go to the gym, any gym in Korea. I've been to multiple because I've been to Korea many times and I've worked out, trying to lose some weight, gain some muscle. Yeah, it doesn't stink. And the moment you step into a gym in America, oh, it just reeks, man. It reeks. Even yesterday, I was doing push day. It's working out my chest and shoulders, going to do some dips, some weighted dips, and I just couldn't, man. There was a guy next to me who just stinked up the whole area. It was unbearable. Unbearable. And so this idea that our differences are only skin deep, it is so preposterous. I talk about this all the time, that Asians, especially Koreans, have a variant of the ABCC11 or ABCC11 gene. When this gene codes for what kind of earwax you have and whether or not your sweat produces bacteria that results in body odor. 95% of Koreans have the variant that doesn't allow for body odor. Meanwhile, it's like less than 1% of people from the global south have it. So yes, of course, you're gonna stink. People who aren't Korean stink. Koreans don't stink. That's one of the greatest things about being Korean. With that being said, man, I just had to get that off my chest. It was really bothering me yesterday because I'm not that sensitive to smell, but I really thought I was going to puke while I was working out because the stench was unbearable. So remigration, Let's have our shared spaces, our public amenities not stink and smell of just the most atrocious, putrid stenches that you've ever smelled. I don't know. That maybe that's a little trivial thing. Maybe I'm being a little too mean. But nothing radicalizes me more towards remigration than going to the gym. And people say, oh, but you're an immigrant. Okay, if me being deported means that the entirety of third worlders gets also deported from Western civilization, that's a trade-off I'm willing to make because I have a home to go back to. I can go back to Korea. And yes, they'll see me as American. It won't be as easy to integrate, but it'd be much easier to integrate. Where do Americans have? Where do the British have to go back to? Where do the French have to go back to? What are the Germans? They have nowhere to go back to. That's their home. And so you should protect your home from your foreign invaders. That being said, let's talk about what's happening in the West on West Watch. So speaking of the UK, current Prime Minister Keir Starmer has resigned. He has announced yesterday, it was announced a few days ago during the weekend that he was going to resign, but then yesterday they formalized it. He made an announcement and had this whole sob ceremony of him. I love Britain and I'm stepping down because I love Britain and it's best for my people. But we all know that's a bunch of bull crap. I don't think there has been any prime minister in the UK in the past few decades that has actually loved the British people and done what's best for the British people's interests. They always prioritize third world hordes, Muslims, browns and blacks, because that's the preferred minority group that they cater towards always. So we don't believe this guy. But let's watch this video. This is him resigning from the UK Prime Minister seat.
The question my party is asking now is whether I am best placed to lead us into the next general election.
No, you're not.
I have heard the answer of my parliamentary party to that question.
It is not.
And I accept that answer with good grace. Every decision I've taken has been about putting the country I love first. That is why I will resign as leader of the Labour Party. I have spoken to His Majesty the King this morning to inform him of my decision. I will ask the National Executive Committee of the Labour Party to set out a timetable with nominations opening on the 9th of July and completed by the summer recess. The question my party is asking...
So that's Keir Starmer yesterday. Later in his speech, he starts sobbing. Oh, I did everything because I love the British people. We all know that's such bullcrap. We all know that's a load of horse poop. And so why did he resign? And so there's a lot of people who say it's because of the rape gang inquiry report. And that's part of it, because as we all know, when Keir Starmer was the director of public prosecutions, he let go of 13,000 of these rape offenders with a warning letter. So he's obviously under fire for that. But there's a lot of other reasons why he's under fire. Remember the elections last month? The local elections across the UK? The Labour Party got crushed. Last month, they lost around 1,500 council seats. And also, obviously, plummeting polls in popularity. I think he's like at 19% approval right now. Everyone in the UK hates this guy. Policy missteps, completely doing nothing to advance the interests of the British people. Obviously, he had a bunch of scandals, like we mentioned, the rape gang inquiry report, revealing that he was complicit in allowing these hordes of Muslim Pakistanis to rape young white British girls. He also appointed Peter Mandelson as the U.S. ambassador. But Peter Mandelson, this guy, he has ties to Jeffrey Epstein. And this is all known, by the way. It's not conspiracy. And so people found that to be very distasteful. And obviously, internal party mutiny, Like he said, oh, the Labour Party has spoken. They don't want me as the leader. Yeah, because you suck. You're awful. You have done nothing for the party. And so even if I was in the Labour Party, I wouldn't want you. I would want you to step down. Now, what's next? What's next is that there will be no general election because the British Prime Ministers, they derive their power from the commanding confidence of the House of Commons, the British Parliament. And so right now, the Labour Party unfortunately controls most of the Parliament. And so they'll be moving on to elect the next leader of the Labour Party, which is going to be, his name is Andy Burnham. Now, Andy Burnham, who is this guy? Look at this guy. Queer kids deserve safe schools. This guy is Keir Starmer, but worse. They took Keir Starmer and they replaced it with Keir Starmer and worse. Like, look at him. Same, just soy boy physiognomy, the glasses, just completely bending over backwards for the Rainbow Mafia and the Muslim invaders. But here's what this guy supports. Men and women, safe spaces. So, of course, transgenderism and transsexualism, open borders, using HMOs to house illegal migrants, fully supports Israel, taxing landowners, farmers into oblivion, redistribution of equity, the corrupt European Union, all-around communism. So he is just another gay race communist, as is most members of the Labour Party in Britain. This guy's not great. He was the mayor of Greater Manchester from 2017 until the present, and then he was recently elected to the British Parliament to become a member of the Parliament. But right now, according to the 2021 census, Muslims make up roughly 17 to 18% of Greater Manchester's population, which is about 500,000 people. 500,000 people. 500,000 Muslims in Greater Manchester. He allows this, and he's all about protecting them. Right? Burnham generally speaks highly about Muslim communities as an important and valued part of the region, saying that Islam is a part of the UK's fabric. His public positions include opposition to Islamophobia, criticism, and support for Greater Manchester's multicultural identity and religious diversity. This guy is Keir Starmer, but worse. Like, he's more completely outspoken and brazen about it. And now, like we mentioned, the rape gang inquiry, he was also part of the authorities that told police to stand down because if you were to arrest these Muslim Pakistanis, it would be racist and Islamophobic. He's the one that allowed social workers to return young girls back to their abusers. And this is all shown by whistleblowers. Tons of cases in Greater Manchester under Andy Burnham. And so this guy is just awful. This guy's absolutely awful. So we got Keir Starmer out, and you replaced him with the worst version of Keir Starmer. So we're expected to have Andy Burnham take the seat of Prime Minister of the UK starting next month. Now, one thing I do want to mention is that the UK politically has been so unstable. And this is true for every democracy. Democracy is a destabilizing force in politics and for your society. People think that, oh, we can have democratic accountability now if we let all the people vote. Well, not really. It actually introduces more political instability. You see this in Korea. You see this in the UK. You see this even in America. The more democratic our countries have become, the more unstable. Instability has risen. It's become more unstable. Just look at right now in America. Living under Trump versus living under Biden. How drastically different is it? Social media, under Biden, the censorship was insane. People think censorship is bad right now. You have all these people who are very critical of Israel, and they keep saying, oh, we can't criticize Israel. We're not allowed to, while they do so openly on the platforms. If you did that 5 years ago, you're banned from all platforms. If you criticize COVID and the COVID response, the efficacy of the vaccines, you got banned immediately. I got banned. I got shadow banned. I literally got banned from Twitter for a few days because I said men cannot be women. I remember I was banned on Instagram for a few days too because I said this. I remember this very clearly. I said the funny thing about Black Lives Matter is that no one is saying that Black lives don't matter. No one's saying that. And I got banned for that. Like, what? The censorship was so bad, on top of the aggressive push for abortion on demand. You have tons and tons of just propaganda, LGBTQ propaganda, wokeness, race swaps, BLM, grievance politics shoved in your faces all day. You had the leaders of the military be transsexuals. I mean, it was horrific. And then so literally the whiplash you get from being under a Republican administration versus a Democratic administration is only getting worse. And then tensions are rising. Political division is increasing. It's not really democracy is not a good system. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't have democratic norms. By all means, I believe democratic norms in order to represent, to elect representatives who can vouch for your local community's interest to your leaders, your federal leaders. I think that's all good. That's all proper. But one thing that we have to understand is that if you increase democracy, mass democracy, it's a destabilizing force. So even look the past prime ministers of the UK. Keir Starmer was only in for 2 years. The previous one, Rishi Sunak, which, by the way, the fact that you had an Indian as your prime minister of the UK is just a sign that you've been conquered. But he was only in office for a year and 8 months. Previously, Liz Truss, which is only 50 days. Boris Johnson, 3 years. Theresa May, 3 years. David Cameron, 6 years. And Gordon Brown, 2 years and 10 months. So none of them filled out and served out their whole entire prime minister term except for David Cameron. You cannot have a stable society and lead a country forward if it's constantly flip-flopping like this. Your leaders are constantly flip-flopping. It is so untenable. This is why, for me, I'm not the biggest proponent of monarchy. I'm still working through that. But a monarch, in terms of political stability and the health for a nation, is more sustainable. And it is more actually pragmatic and practical. That being said, Keir Starmer, people are celebrating his resignation, but the reality is his successor, Andy Burnham, will be no better. But the thing is, you see these prime ministers, and yes, they all suck, but the reality is they don't hold that much power in UK politics. The United States is ungovernable at this point because they're not controlled by the elected leaders. With Tony Blair, in the late 1900s, after 2 decades of Tory rule, he came in and he completely revolutionized and transformed UK politics, increased the administrative state, and outsourced all power to NGOs, these quangos, and these unelected bureaucrats, these unaccountable, unelected bureaucrats. And so even Keir Starmer himself said publicly, I pull the lever, I try to make changes, and nothing happens. Because they don't control anything. The courts, civil services, NGOs, the quangos, the administrative state, unelected bureaucrats, they're the ones that actually control UK politics. So unless there's a complete overhaul of the political system again, whether you have a right-wing or a left-wing prime minister, it's not going to change anything in the UK. And that's the state of it. That is the state of it. And so that's what happened. Tony Blair completely destroyed any semblance, in my opinion, of UK elected leaders leading the country forward and governing effectively. So then what's the solution? Well, my inclination would be for the king to come in and say, you know what, we're going to declare a constitutional crisis and we're going to restructure British society again so that we first and foremost deport all the foreign invaders and we prioritize the interests of the British people first. But secondly, hey, we're just going to get rid of and slash all of the corrupt courts and the NGOs and the unelected bureaucrats. You know who did that well and why their country is thriving right now? Nayib Bukele. He is a philosopher king. He is ruling with the iron fist. And one of the first things he did was go and attack and dismantle these corrupt courts, these unelected administrative bodies and unaccountable administrative bodies. And he said, no, we're going to get rid of all this garbage regulation and all this bureaucracy, and we're going to push our agenda forward. And that's what someone in the UK needs to do. Now, I know the king's not going to do it. King Charles, I mean, just give me a break. That royal family is toast. But if we have any hopes, it has to be someone like Rupert Lowe to come in and say, we are going to make drastic changes. You're going to follow me, and we're going to win. And so I do believe the only viable political solution at this point is to amass massive political influence and seats, flip a lot of seats in the parliament, have Restore Britain, because conservatives aren't going to do it, reform's not going to do it. We need Restore Britain to come in and completely overhaul the system. So to my British patriots out there, do not red pill. There is still a political process. Although it's slim, I will admit, there's still a political process to this. And so vote. Vote like your life depends on it. Get your family to vote. Get your neighbors to vote. Get your community to vote. Vote, 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 vote. Participate in the political process and in the elections. You saw so many. There's every single Restore Britain seat, every single Restore Britain candidate ran in the local and regional elections last month. They won. There's something changing. And so you must reclaim your country for God, for your family, for your descendants. Do not give up. Do not black pill. And then if voting doesn't work, then it's time to find other solutions. But until then, participate in the political process. Do not black pill. Keep fighting for your country. That being said, let's talk about Colombia. So Colombia had their elections this past weekend, and alas, the Colombian Trump has won. His name is Abelardo de la Espriella, I think. I think in Colombia, they pronounce the double L like a J. That's what I learned. One of my Spanish teachers in middle school, she was Colombian, and she would always be like, me llamo, instead of me llamo. So, yeah, anyways. Abelardo de la Espriella is elected. Look at this guy. Right-wing candidate. Espriella has been elected as the new president of Colombia. Elon Musk says there, cool. Let's go. Let's go. And so Trump congratulated him as well. He was the Trump-endorsed candidate for Colombia, which is kind of so crazy because when you think about our elections, or just elections all across the world, Trump has so much power that just by him saying, I like this guy, wins elections. I'm sorry, the Trump has so much power in domestic elections, but also in foreign elections. It's actually kind of crazy how much power America wields on the world stage. But yeah, Trump says Colombia's El Tigre, tiger, will be a great president as socialist opponent launches legal challenge. So right here, President Donald Trump congratulated conservative attorney and businessman Abelardo de la Espriella on becoming president of Colombia Monday at the White House. Yet while he holds a slim lead and is the favorite to win over left-wing Senator Ivan Cepeda, authorities have yet to officially certify the result. So with 99.9% of votes counted, like we know, it's like nearly 100% of votes are counted. De la Espriella led with 49.7% to Cepeda's 48.7%. So he's known by supporters as El Tigre, dominating in the country's mountainous interior and the vote-rich state of Antioquia. And so, yeah, he won. Cepeda is challenging the results, which is so funny. You know, whenever right-wingers win, left-wingers always say there's election fraud. When left-wingers win, right-wingers always say there's election fraud. It's just, there's always going to be a certain degree of voter impropriety. It's just a matter of how much there was and if it's enough to overturn the election results. With that being said, if De La Espriella does hold out, it would mirror a continent-wide rightward shift seen in recent electoral results in Chile, Ecuador, Bolivia, and Peru, where conservative Keiko Fujimori appears poised to win the presidency. And this is what Donald Trump said. He congratulated him at a signing at the White House, saying, he called me last night. He thanked me for the endorsement. He won. He won the election. In response to a question on relations between U.S. and Colombia, Trump asserted that things would be much better. It'd be better. He's going to be a great president. All right. So we know he's just pretty much a normie right-winger. and normie right-winger insofar as they are pro-America, pro-free markets, anti-socialism, anti-capital, communism, right, pro-capitalism, which are all good, all good. We're not communists here. We're not socialists here. Economically, I'm more of a distributist. I agree with G.K. Chesterton more on his economic stance, and I believe in a more traditional Christian understanding of the economy. Unfettered capitalism, laissez-faire capitalism is actually just liberalism. Much to expand on there, but that's for another topic for another conversation. But of course, leftists are sore losers. They're sore losers. Look at this. Colombia's current president, Gustavo Petro, says he does not recognize the results of the presidential election. Why? Because he suggests interference from Israel. What? Why does... Here's the question that you have to ask. Okay, what would Israel's interest be in Colombia? Like, seriously. Israel has an interest in American politics. Why? Because America is the number one global superpower. So to have the number one global superpower with the strongest military, the biggest economy, the richest and most powerful country in the world to be on your side, that is obviously advantageous to Israel, on top of the fact that they have completely brainwashed boomers and Gen X with Zionist dispensationalism. So there's a deep Christian undercurrent of America and a very Protestant one too. So they brainwashed them, and that's a whole nother conversation as well. But so there's an interest there, obviously, right? Because if you have the number one country in the world on your side, that helps advance your interests and your excursions in the Middle East. But like, what interest does Israel have meddling in Colombian elections? It doesn't. So that's where you see the whole low IQ anti-Semitism happening, largely on the left, but also on factions of the right, where they blame everything and anything on Israel. They do this with Charlie Kirk too, right? A few days before he died, they said that he was an Israel shill and he's a traitor to his nation and to his God. And a few days later, it's actually Israel's the one who killed Charlie Kirk. Makes no sense. And this is coming from someone who, you guys know me, like, I am not pro-Israel, but I'm also like not so anti-Israel that I blame everything on Israel. I just think, yes, like, they should get out of American politics, and America shouldn't serve the interests of Israel first. It should be America first. I don't know how controversial that is. I know that's controversial today, but I don't know. People call me milquetoast fence sitter. I think I have a pretty reasonable take when it comes to Israel. All that being said, yeah, left-wingers especially, they just blame everything on Israel. They blame everything. They blame all their problems. That's why it's a meme at this point. Right-wingers do this too. It's kind of funny though. It's like, the reason why I can't get a wife is because of Bibi Netanyahu. Bibi Netanyahu is diluting the dating pool. He's getting the Floyds to whore themselves out. It's just like, what? But it's funny. It's funny. But all that being said, what is the takeaway here? What is the takeaway here? Well, look at this. Here's 7 Latin American elections since U.S. aid was defunded. Chile, far-right cast won. Bolivia, far-right pass won. Peru, far-right Fujimori won. Ecuador, far-right Noboa won. Honduras, far-right Asfura won. Colombia, far-right Espriella won. Costa Rica, far-right Fernandez won. Who knew? Who knew that it was actually the bureaucratic state in America that was allowing for socialist far-right presidents to get elected? Right? Here's an example right here. In 2022, USAID sent $34 million to Colombia under its Democracy, Human Rights, and Governance program. The bucket it used to funnel cash to left-wing NGOs that rig elections. A communist won. This time, the communists didn't have American taxpayer dollars to help them. Thank you, President Trump and Secretary Rubio. Yeah, like literally, we're sending billions and billions and billions of dollars. Your money. If you're an American, I'm an American citizen. I pay American taxes. My taxes, your taxes, were going into funding left-wing communist NGOs that elected socialist leaders, left-wing leaders that even rigged elections. That's where your taxpayer dollars were going. And then, look, our taxpayer dollars aren't going to fund foreign elections and foreign communists. Well, look at that. People overwhelmingly vote for the right-wing candidate. And so there's a funny meme here. socialists trying to win in Latin America with no USAID funding. Oh, help, help. This is from The Boys. And it's so funny. It really is so funny how America controls so much of the world. And even if you don't want it to be the world hegemon and the global superpower and the world police, it just kind of is by nature of it being the richest and most powerful country in the world. And so we would want our taxpayer dollars then not to go fund foreign excursions and foreign elections to rig them to elect socialist leaders, but we should want our money to help the American citizen, the American, everyday American, right? That's what we want our taxes to go to. So one thing that Trump has done so effectively is to expose the deep state, which is not a conspiracy. It is like a bureaucratic blob of unelected bureaucrats that control politics. It's like your money was going to fund communists overseas. Like, how do we feel about that? I hate that. We saw the Somali scandal. All these daycare centers, but also Minnesota taxpayer dollars were going to fund Somali terrorist networks. That's insane. That's absolutely insane. How is this not treason? Like, everyone who's responsible for these acts of taking your money, your hard-earned money, and then funneling it into foreign terrorist networks and to fund foreign commies, they should be tried. At the very least, they should be thrown in prison. But I don't understand why we don't have executions for these very, very explicit traitors. Like, I don't say that lightly, and I'm not calling for violence and political violence on the streets. I'm calling for order in society and for the civil magistrates to enact justice and the appropriate punishment. But at the very least, if you're funding foreign terrorist networks, if you're taking the American taxpayer dollar, you're taking their money, our money, and funding foreign terrorist networks, foreign commies that hate America, that's treason. What else is that except treason? And so, yes, these people should be locked up and thrown into prison for life, at the very least. But, yes, we should have the civil magistrates punish them. Because this is so ridiculous. The fact that you can wave foreign flags and you can fund foreign elections with impunity, it's so insane. So congratulations to Mr. Espriella. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. My Spanish is so bad, but hablo español un poquito. But congratulations, and let's continue. Let's continue the right-wing push throughout our countries to save our countries, to keep our countries nationalistic, patriotic, a home for our people. Nothing wrong with that. It's actually a great, great cause to fight for. Last thing we want to talk about is this Montreal shooting, in terms of the West, this Montreal shooting. So yesterday, there was a shooter in Montreal, Canada, that shot cops, and the suspect was neutralized after Montreal shooting leaves at least 2 dead, including officer. So it's horrific. A gunman was neutralized Monday following a shooting in Montreal that left 1 police officer and 1 other person dead. Authorities told Fox News that the shooting happened in the Côte des Neiges neighborhood of the city. I think that's French. I didn't say the N-word, please, okay? At a news conference, Montreal Police Chief Fady Dagger said officers were called to the Hilton Garden Inn where someone opened fire on them. And a male officer and a civilian died, he said. A female officer was injured and taken to a hospital in critical condition, but was upgraded to stable condition. It's a tragedy. It's a nightmare. And then so go down. It happened in like the middle of the day. Okay, so we know that, the one of the cops died, and then the other person who died was a Jewish rabbi. Now, I will warn you, we'll show you the clip of what's happened and what to take away from this, but please do be warned, it is a bit graphic, but it's not so graphic that you see like the actual shootings. So here's one perspective. So right there, the male cop goes down, And then a female cop takes cover. You see there's a civilian right there, and that's the rabbi. And then the female cop shoots him. And then that's the shooter coming up right there. It's crazy. Okay, if we can show the other angle. We have the other angle, which I think shows a little better of the situation. Right here.
Why is he walking? What is wrong with him?
Right there. So that's the shooter right there. He comes up. And right there. So the male cop goes down. He's shot. The female cop takes cover.
Holy shit.
And right there. So there's a civilian right there. The rabbi tries to take cover. And then the female cop shoots him.
What the fuck? Why is he walking?
Yeah, horrendous. Like this should not happen. And rest in peace to the two victims of this. And so, what is our takeaway? First of all, women shouldn't be cops. People say that's sexist. People say that I hate women. No, actually, I deeply adore women. We love women on this show. But women shouldn't be cops. And we'll get into that later. And secondly, people say, and you're trying to paint this guy as a right-wing extremist. But no, his manifesto says otherwise. His manifesto was obtained. This guy's name is Seth Hatfield from Alberta. He murdered a policeman in a shooting spree in a Jewish neighborhood in Montreal. He was a Jew-hating communist. So if you go down, people saying he was a right-wing extremist, he was an incel, right? But Rebel News obtained the copy of the full 104-page manifesto. And it's true that the murderer had extreme ideas about women, but that was only a small part of his worldview. In most of the rest of his rambling remarks, he was indistinguishable from left-wing politicians like Bernie Sanders, Avi Lewis, or the half of the Liberal cabinet. He praised communism. He called for the abolition of private property. He railed against the Jews and Zionism, and like Mark Carney himself, he demanded the censorship of the internet. Read the manifesto of the crazed left-wing extremist. So, yes, I know there's right-wing extremism that happens that targets Jews, and I'm not saying that you should ever target Jews. That's horrific. There's like people who, excuse me, I'm about to sneeze. Okay, I think I'm good. No, I'm not good. Oh, thank you. Bless me, chat. So you should never target someone and kill people based on their ethnic background. That's just something that you don't do in a civilized society. That's something you shouldn't do as a Christian. It's not something you should celebrate nor advocate for. So it's just another example of left-wing terrorism. I mean, we seen this time and time and time again. These Discord communities, these online communities, Blue Sky, they constantly advocate to kill anyone that they don't like and they disagree with. That's their whole humor. I mean, look at trans humor online. All their memes are just, I'm going to kill you in real life. That's their humor. Meanwhile, right-wing humor is observing reality and making memes and making fun of observable facts, patterns, behaviors of certain groups of people. Meanwhile, left-wing humor is just all, hey, let's kill someone in real life. Haha, wouldn't that be so funny? So this is a clear example of left-wing extremism. So there's one. That's one takeaway. Definitely, we got to crack down on left-wing extremism. And I know Canada's kind of toast. They're totally and utterly controlled by the left wing that dominates Canadian politics, which is really unfortunate. And so you have places like Toronto that looks like Torontistan, completely overrun by Indians and Muslims. It's really sad to see. I went to Quebec like 10 years ago. Beautiful, beautiful city. Bunch of classical French architecture, just very quaint, lovely. And that's being overrun by hordes of third worlders. Now, I don't know much about what Canada can do, but what America can do, at least in our home, is to have a complete and total crackdown on left-wing terrorist networks, which I still do not understand why, for the life of me, the DOJ and the FBI is not doing much and doing more. Yeah, they have done some stuff. I'm not going to discount that, but they need to do more. Hello, you have a very limited time frame to completely crush these violent left-wing extremists, and they're not doing it. It's like, again, I say this all the time. If Biden is able to lock up innocent grandmas and grandpas who are walking through the Capitol building peacefully on January 6th, shove them into solitary confinement, the least you can do is lock up leftist anarchists and terrorists who call for the death of your president every single day. Seriously, like, what are we doing here? That being said, the other point and the main takeaway, I think, has to be that women should not be cops. Women should not be cops. I know this is controversial. People say that I'm sexist. People say that I'm misogynistic and I hate women. No, I deeply love women. I want to cherish women. I want to protect women. And I want to have order in society. And I want to have a society. That's why women should not be cops. You saw the footage. You saw the footage. So one, she left her partner to just die. But secondly, okay, she's in a scenario where she's in a shootout with the shooter. She has already seen and identified the shooter over there, taking cover in a camo suit, wearing camo colors. And there's a civilian who walks up to her because he's also trying to take cover because the shooter's here, the police is here, the shooter's about to shoot, the civilian is caught up here. Of course, he's going to try to take cover. And idiots on the internet are saying that the civilian's at fault? Are you stupid? He's trying to take cover too. And if people say, oh, she didn't know. Well, maybe that's a reason why women should not be cops. Because the moment a civilian tries to take cover and a police officer is supposed to protect civilians and protect the innocent, she shoots him point blank because she's scared. Women should not be cops. They do not have the physicality to be cops. They don't have the risk taking to be cops. They don't have the instincts to be cops. They don't have the spatial awareness to be cops in high stress scenarios. Because why? Because that's what testosterone is for. We are biologically wired as men to be the providers and protectors. God has designed us in this way. To allow for female cops is functional transgenderism. It is. Because women are not designed to be on the front lines of combat. They're not designed to be enforcers of law, to protect civilians in very dangerous situations. This is why God created women to be nurturers and birthers of new life. That's what their whole body is designed for. That's what their hormones are designed for. Why do they have a uterus? Why do they have a 30-day cycle? Meanwhile, men have a 24-hour cycle. Because women are not meant to protect and provide, be the ones on the front lines. They're not. And so women in these scenarios always have a fight or flight response. Which one is it? They have the flight response. Everyone has a fight or flight response, but the men are the ones who go in to the danger and neutralize the danger. Women are always the ones who run away. Remember the female cops at the Bondi Beach shooting in Australia with that Muslim terrorist? What did they do? They ran away. Remember when Trump got shot in the ear? How did the woman react? They didn't even know how to pull up their holster. Are you really telling me that a 5'2", 100-pound woman is going to be able to neutralize a 6', 180, 90-pound man? No, they can't. So that's why they have guns. But then in having guns, they just shoot innocent civilians. But they can't assess danger. Like, women are literally physically incapable of assessing danger. People might say that's sexist. No, it's true. Why do you think all these women go on their solo trips to the third world and then they come back, they're crying because they were sexually assaulted and abused? They have no conception of risk assessment and danger. They don't. This is why also they complain about how streets are unsafe, but then they literally vote to release criminals onto the streets, violent criminals onto the streets, to import hordes of people that come from rape cultures. Women cannot conceptualize danger. They don't know how to assess it properly. And so physical and psychological realities make policing a poor fit for women. They're not meant for it. Right? Men average 50 to 60% greater upper body strength, higher muscle mass, faster sprint speed, and superior grip strength. Men are faster and stronger, taller, bigger than women. This is incontrovertibly true. Testosterone-driven traits compound men's effectiveness in combat and policing, right? Men exhibit higher average risk tolerance, spatial awareness under stress, and willingness to close distance aggressively. Whereas the instinct for a man in situations like this shooting is to go in and neutralize the threat. The instinct of a woman is to run away and protect herself because she's scared. And so the more that we accept that, oh yeah, women being cops is such a win for diversity and for inclusion, yeah, you're going to have more disorder and more chaos in society. Women are not meant to be providers and protectors. That's the role of the man. Scripture is very clear about this. It is so incontrovertibly true. It's not just about whether she can or she can't. Because yes, technically a woman can be a cop. You can go through the training and shoot people and all that stuff. But God designed men and women to be vastly different. We are dimorphic as a human species. That's how God designed us. The more that you indulge this feminist delusion, the more chaos will be wreaked upon in society. We will literally disintegrate and deteriorate as a country, as a people. Let's not forsake reality for delusions of grandeur, for these weird abstract principles about diversity and, oh yeah, woman empowerment. No. Woman, I'm sorry, you're not Natasha Romanoff from Black Widow. The average man will be able to subdue you in 2 seconds. So the reality is we should not want women to be law enforcement, but we should want men to be law enforcement. We want good men, because the solution to bad men will always be good men. Women will never be able to overpower men, because not only in their physicality and their psychology, but also all the infrastructure, technology that allows for women to be feminist boss babes and to neutralize the differences between men and women. It's all but from men. So if men collectively decided, hey, we're not going to do this anymore, we're not going to indulge this anymore, then there's nothing women can do against bad men. So the solution always for bad men is good men. It's not going to be women stepping up and trying to be lesser versions of men. And I'll end with this video from Sam Hyde. Sam Hyde was so correct about his assessment about female cops. Watch here.
If you ever catch the eye of a female cop, hope you wore your bulletproof vest. Hope you got your vest on, man. I am praying for you, unironically. You ever catch the eye of a female cop? Man, I hope you wore your vest. And I am praying for you, because that gun on her waist at some point is going to accidentally go off. Okay? She's going to draw it out thinking it's a taser. She's going to have her finger on the trigger before she's ready to fire. She's going to do this because you didn't put your hands up fast enough or whatever. Something you did made her feel threatened. You're taller than her. She feels threatened for her life. She's a female. The only recourse she has physically is to shoot you.
Yep.
And I just hope that if you ever get pulled over by a woman, you're wearing a fucking bulletproof vest and a Kevlar helmet.
And that sums it up. That sums it up. That God designed women to be the weaker vessel, like Scripture says, but that's why men have a responsibility to protect women. But the reality is, if they're in a high-stress situation, a very dangerous situation, and they're being attacked by a man, the only recourse they have is to shoot him. And so if they ever feel threatened in any way, they're going to shoot him. I mean, there's tons and tons of cases of women who thought they were pulling out the taser, but they pulled out their gun and shot someone instead. We can't have this. We can't have this in society. And this is a thing that happens all across the world as feminism wreaks havoc for every single first world country. But we must not continue to indulge the delusion of feminism. Men and women are different. That's an okay thing. There are certain things that God designed men for. There are certain areas that God designed women for. Men cannot give birth. Women are more accommodating. Women are more inclusive. And that's all great when it's at the micro scale. It's for your community. It's for your local cookout. It's to make sure that the one classmate that you have in your class, in your kindergarten class, isn't excluded. You invite all the families, all the children, come out. Yeah, that's all great for community building, for cohesion in a community. Yeah, that doesn't scale to governing a whole country and making the laws that govern us. Because why? Oh yeah, let's bring everyone in. Everyone can be part of the team. Yeah, and then you completely destroy your society. Women and men are different. And that's why men have always ruled and been leaders for all of human history, for every single civilization. Even before East and West came into contact with one another, men were always the ones leading, providing, and protecting women and children. Men were always the ones going off to war and women always at home with the children. Why? Because that's how we were made. We are dimorphic. It is in our physiology. It's in our biology. It's in our psychology. It's in our emotions. Everything that God has designed us differently for is for different purposes. And the more that you get away from that design, the telos, the end goal of your body and your sex, yes, you will continue to see crime, degeneracy, disorder galore in your society. It's not hateful. It's because we love women. I love women. I don't know. There's a lot of people say, I hate women. I love women. I guess not necessarily a woman respecter, but a woman cherisher. I'm a chivalrous man, I like to say. That being said, we're talking about women. Let's talk about women in Japan. We're wearing our Shohei Ohtani jersey today. Why? Because we're talking about Shohei Ohtani. We love this guy. He's a patriot, I think. But I don't know what his politics are actually, but he's probably right-wing because the way that he conducts himself, he is like, what? How tall is he? 6'3"? 6'4", Japanese Chad. One of the best players in the MLB right now. An absolute baseball sensation. But he also loves his wife. He has a beautiful daughter and he's having another child. Right here, Shohei Ohtani misses Dodgers game in anticipation of the birth of his second baby with wife Mamiko Tanaka. Very cute. Look, lovely couple. They completely mog. Just wonderful, great looking, looks matched, but also looks maxed couple. We love to see it. And so he missed Friday's Dodger game as he and his wife Mamiko Tanaka await the birth of their second child. So they're going to be parents again. What do you mean parents again? They're already parents. And yes, she's pregnant, so they're already parents of their second child. But yeah, I believe he is taking a paternity leave right now to take care of his wife. And oh, he's back? Oh, he's back. But he took a paternity leave to take care of his wife. What a great guy. Like, we like to see that. Husbands taking care of your wives, protecting them, make sure their needs are met, especially because, yeah, pregnancy is not easy. And I acknowledge that. Pregnancy is not easy. And so for husbands to love your wives as Christ loved the church, we love to see that. That's great. Now, you would think that it's a cause for celebration. Hey, you're having your second child. Congratulations. And that's how the American media is congratulating him. That's how most people, normal, well-adjusted people, are congratulating Shohei Ohtani for his second child. But of course, the feminists, the miserable vermin, they come out of the woodworks to completely melt down over Shohei Ohtani having a second child. Now, the original post announcing this had over 100 million impressions on X. But yes, feminists have been completely melting down over Shohei Ohtani having a second child with his wife. So look at some of these posts right here. This Japanese account, which is a former feminist, they followed me back, by the way. Really great. And by the way, all the Japanese patriots who followed me after this, we love you. I love Japan. Nippon ski desu. I so bad at Japanese. But here, breaking news, Shohei Ohtani slammed as a harasser, abusive husband, serial breeder abuser, and a man who doesn't give a damn about his wife after having kids back-to-back with his spouse. It's just absolutely ridiculous. So here's the translated versions from Japanese to English. So I've never really liked Shohei Ohtani as a person. I'm not interested in him. And I've got the feeling that he was being abusive because of his high birth rate. I'm sorry if I'm wrong, but Ohtani gives a really strong vibe of being a controlling husband. Shohei Ohtani's second child has been born. He's not thinking about his wife's health at all. What? Please stop because the mother doesn't have enough time to recover. Seriously, as a woman, I really don't want to have sex right after giving birth to my first child. It's just weird. Like, what? It's so insane. Everyone probably finds it hard to criticize because it's Shohei Ohtani, but this is just plain harassment. It's disgusting. He seems like the kind of person who wants to do everything according to his plan. She seems to have very strong preferences, such as how many children she wants by what age, and that she absolutely wants a boy. And so people are saying that, oh, he's trying to force her to have another child because their first child was a daughter, it was a girl, so he wants a son. Oh, he's such a patriarchal, toxic man, controlling, abusive husband. What? If you look at the tweet that we just referenced before, if you look at the replies to it, can you pull it up? Yeah. And then you go down. They're also attacking his wife. So it's not even attacking Shohei Ohtani for being an abusive husband, but they're attacking her for not being the boss babe who stands up to her husband. It's absolute insanity. It's absolute insanity. And so here we have a meme here that the Japanese netizens made, and we translated to English. But here, it's this beautiful family, Shohei Ohtani with his wife. A new baby is being born. Well, congratulations, what a lovely family. Baby so cute. We will support you. God bless. Wow, this is incredible. And this is a good thing. And meanwhile, people on social media, feminists, going crazy. You're having another baby? Are you kidding me? How are you not thinking about your wife? Oh, you're an abusive husband. Baseball players get away with anything. I can never forgive you. Ah, freaking out, losing their minds. Feminists. Feminists, feminists, feminists. I said this, and this is the tweet that got me fired. That women untethered from healthy masculine authority, they turn into hags and psychopaths. They do. How is your response to seeing Shohei Ohtani have another child with his wife? You're an abusive husband. First of all, they're not having a child like literally the second after she gave birth. Like obviously he's not going to do that. And a woman's body can't handle it. But these women, they don't know love. That's why. Because when a man and a woman love each other, they're committed to each other, they become one flesh, then they don't deny themselves from each other. And they manifest their love through the procreative act of sex and the very intimate act of sex. Yeah, like they love each other. So they're going to do the deed and then they're going to have children. And people, it's just this thing where feminists, they, in the same breath, they say that women are boss babes that, like we said, can be cops. They're Natasha Romanoff, Black Widow, punching the Nazis. Go, woman, go. Woman empowerment. And then the next sentence, they say, women are such fragile creatures. How dare you? How dare you? Which one is it? And it's like Schrodinger's feminist, right? They claim a victim when it's convenient to them, but they also claim to be an empowered feminist boss babe whenever it conveniences them. So whatever is convenient for their narrative, whatever is convenient to hoard power over men. How dare you? I'm a victim. I'm so frail. How dare you make your wife have a child? How dare you? How dare you? And then on the same, literally in the next sentence, oh yeah, how dare you say that women can't be cops? Which one is it? Are women fragile creatures that need to be protected? Like a delicate, what do you call it? Just a delicate piece of glass? Which I actually believe that. I believe that women should be taken care of well and but should be treated with chivalry. Or is it that, I'm a feminist boss babe, I don't need no man, don't tell me what to do. And it's whatever conveniences them to destroy male-female relations and to put down men and to hoard power over men. Whatever allows them to hoard power over men. Either they claim femininity and being a woman so that they can hoard power over men, or they claim to be a boss babe and you're a sexist misogynist to hold power over men. and a completely inversion of God's creation order, God's order for society and the family. It's a rebellion against God. So you have to understand that these feminists are miserable. They don't know love. But because of that, they are easily influenced by genuinely demonic forces that wants to tear apart families, completely destroy marriages, incite division between marriages and in the home. That's the end goal of feminists. Why? Because they're miserable. And so if they don't have what happy women have, then they want to drag everyone else down with them. And no one hates fulfilled, happy, loving, lovely wives and mothers than other women who are single, bitter feminists. And you wonder why no one likes you. So what Shohei Ohtani is doing with his wife, that is their own business. They're having their children. And praise God for that, although I don't think they're Christian. But praise God. Life is a gift. And with Japan's low birth rates, you should be wanting more children. But alas, these feminists see that women being able to give birth is not a gift. It's not a superpower. It's not a blessing. They see it as a burden. They see it as an inconvenience. It's not. It's not. That's one thing women can do that men will never be able to do, is to conceive and birth new life. I think that's awesome. That's great. We should celebrate that more. And so these feminists, whether you're in the West or you're in the East, wherever you are, all these feminists are completely deranged. The only place I say maybe I kind of understand feminists is in Muslim countries and in India, because their men are kind of crazy. But that being said, we're talking about the first world, we're talking about the West, and we're talking about the Far East. Yeah, feminists there are insane. And unless we root out the scourge of feminism and completely abolish it from society, from the consciousness of society, yes, birth rates will continue to decline. Male and female relations will continue to suffer and deteriorate. And so people say that I hate women because I call out the faults of women and feminists. But no, the reality is, if you want a genuine solution, you got to first see what the problem is. If you don't identify the proper problem, then you can't identify the proper solution. And so, in order to heal male and female relations, we have to be real about who's causing the majority of the problems between men and women. And it is feminists. It's feminists, and it's also simps. So I'm not saying that men are off the hook, because I think I might hate simps more than I do feminists, because they enable their garbage behavior. But it is women driving it, because our societies have preferential treatment towards women and for women, and they disincentivize and discourage men and disenfranchise men in our modern society. So all that being said, we should continue to fight for traditional values, family values. And it's all about messaging. We got to make sure that people understand it's because we love the family, because we love goodness, truth, and beauty. We like order in society. We like homes not to be broken. We want them to be full of love and in order. But in order to be a house that is full of love and life, it has to be rightly ordered. And if it's not rightly ordered, and you take away the guardrails, yes, you're going to have degeneracy, you're going to have disorder, and you're going to have chaos in the home, and then by extension, society. Because why? What are our communities? What is society? It's just an extension of our families. So we want healthy marriages, healthy societies. We got to own the feminists, the femis. There's a word that the Japanese use for hard, like, left liberals. What is it called again? Payoku. We got to own the payokus and root them out. They're just absolutely atrocious ideas and their sinister ideologies from society. Now, speaking of feminists, we have another feminist story coming out of Japan. Right now, we have the World Cup. Japan is doing great. By the way, I think they actually might have a blue lock program, because suddenly, why is Japan doing so well? They tied with the Netherlands. They completely blew out. Who did they play again? Tunisia. Yeah, Tunisia. I mean, they're killing it. They're doing great. We love to see it. Blue lock, striker. Anyways, I'm sorry. If you watch anime, you know what I'm talking about. But right now, there's a soccer player named Junya Ito. So Junya Ito, he is a striker, and this is what he looks like. Pretty much, he like physiognomy doesn't lie, right? Physiognomy doesn't lie. Looks like he's like a Chad, a pretty well put together guy. And this guy, he was derailed. His career was derailed 2 years ago when these female feminist influencers started to attack him, and they created false rape allegations against him. So right here, these are the two feminist influencers. So this is going viral, crazy viral on Japanese Twitter right now. Not a lot of people are talking about it, but he had false sexual assault allegations that obviously fell apart because they're false, and he lost sponsors. He was forced to miss the Asian Cup. He was continuously scrutinized by media, journalists, the public. And right now, these two women behind those allegations continue their lives as Instagram influencers with impunity, and they have the gall. They have the gall to go to a World Cup game. I mean, it's just so despicable. These feminists are so shameless and so brazen. And look, it's like the average person is going to look at these women and say, oh, they're pretty, they're cute. Oh, I'm inclined to believe them when they come out with false rape allegations. But that's why it's so sinister. It's because not only are you completely trying to destroy the life of an innocent man, but you're also weaponizing people's goodwill. For what? For social media likes? For clout? I mean, how much more shallow and superficial can you get? But this is the mindset of feminists. This is how they literally, the only thing that they desire is attention. So they will destroy the lives of other people, completely weaponize your goodwill and your compassion so that they can get more attention. I mean, it is just so shallow. And now, this female influencer, this feminist influencer, Marin Feminist, is also coming out with new allegations against another soccer player. And it's completely, it's preposterous. It's unfounded claims. There's no evidence for anything. But look, she says, do you know that there's a player on Japan's national soccer team who was accused of rape? His name is Kaishu Sano. By the way, a non-prosecution decision does not mean innocent. What? So that's not how the law works. You are innocent until proven guilty. But these people, these leftists, genuinely believe you are guilty until proven innocent, and even after you're proven innocent, oh no, oh well, oopsies. You kidding me? And so this player, this is what he looks like. Again, a normal, well-to-do guy. He's a midfielder. And they're going after him. For what? And then she has this half-baked apology, which isn't actually an apology, when she was called out for her lies. Regarding the video I posted the other day about player Sano Kafune, I would like to correct some expressions. In the video, I referred to him as a rapist, but the accurate description is a player arrested on suspicion of non-consensual sexual intercourse. Since there has been no definitive guilty verdict, the definitive expression rapist was inappropriate. I apologize for the error. That said, my opinions regarding my own call up to the Japan national team, the Japan Football Association, and coach Hajime Moriyasu's response remain unchanged. They just lie. They lie. And when they get caught in their lie, I actually meant this instead of that. But actually, I'm not going to apologize for my lies. It is so unbelievable. And so with these two players, Sano and Ito, now with Ito, they claim, these two influencers, they claim that Ito got them drunk in a hospital in Osaka and engaged in non-consensual sexual acts, quasi-forcible sexual intercourse. And like I said, he lost sponsors. He wasn't able to play in the Asian Cup. He was pulled from Japan's national soccer team mid-tournament. And of course, at the forefront, he denied the accusations because it just didn't happen. And the police investigated, and yeah, there's no evidence whatsoever. There's inconsistencies in their stories. And yeah, so nothing happened. But in February 2024, he filed a civil lawsuit against the two women seeking around 200 million yen, which is about $1.3 million in damages for reputational harm, lost sponsorships, and financial losses. And it's still ongoing. Like the fact that it is 2026 and the civil lawsuit is still ongoing, it's kind of crazy. Apparently in Japan, I don't know exactly how the court systems work in depth, but apparently these civil lawsuits take a long time. But ultimately, it's just the gall of these women to completely try to destroy an innocent man's life for clout, for clicks, for attention, and then for them to go to the World Cup and cheer. It's like, have you no shame? We need to bring back shame. How are we allowing this to go on? And I truly believe the penalty for false rape allegations must be the penalty for rapists. It should be the same. We should stop incentivizing false rape allegations. Why does this happen? Because the number one social currency for women is attention. They love attention. And they love, obviously, status. All people do, but women love status and love being elevated with clout and attention. So what happens as a result of the feminist movement and Me Too? Well, if you are a quote-unquote rapist, you are awarded a higher status among your peers and society. People grovel towards you. People bow down for you. They pander you. Oh, poor you. We love you. We support you. We hope you win. Get your rapist. But that's how it's got to a point where it awards women so much social status that they identify with their rapist. Think about how they talk about their rapist. The man who rapes them, right? My rapist. It is utter insanity. And so we need to stop incentivizing women to create false rape allegations. And we can't just end with civil lawsuits where they have to pay a fine. We need to completely destroy their lives. If you try to destroy another person's life, an innocent man's life, the appropriate punishment for you should be what would have been for him if the rape allegation were true. Like, we need to stop pandering to women. We need to stop infantilizing women. We need to stop treating women as children who have no agency, who have no thoughts. Because much like men, women can be nasty, very sinful, and destructive. They can. They're not children. Women, just think about how the average woman, especially if they're a bully in school and in college, just think about how toxic women can be if they decide they're going to engage in reputational destruction for a girl that they don't like. Completely making up stories, gossiping. Stop infantilizing women. They're not children. They are also adults who need to be held to account and need to be held to a standard. Stop giving them a free pass and acting like they have no agency over their own actions. The same thing with abortion. We know that women are not victims in abortion. The majority of the times they can be, but the majority of the times they are the perpetrators. They're the ones who willingly and proudly kill their own offspring. Women are not victims. And if we continue to treat women like victims in all of these scenarios, they're going to continue to sour relations between men and women. This is the reason why men don't want to protect women anymore. There are good men out there, but you continuously punish good men, innocent good men. What do you think men are going to do? There's story after story in Korea, too, of a man saving a woman's life, and then she sues him after the fact for touching her without her consent, and then she wins. What do you think men are going to do? They're not going to protect women like they're supposed to. And then women say, where do all the good men go? Well, maybe if you weren't so feminist, and maybe if you didn't continuously demonize the actual good and innocent men, yeah, maybe there'd be some good men around. But it is a lose-lose scenario for a man to protect women if they're going to be punished for it. To be a good man, if you're going to be punished for it, there's no incentive to do so. Now, I still think that men should be virtuous, honorable, protecting women in society, regardless of how crazy feminists are. But if we want to mend female-male relations, we have to call out the scourge of feminism. It is completely destroying society. It's destroying male-female relations. Now, I am so glad that so many Japanese patriots aligned with me My tweet about the rape allegations for Junior Ito, it got, what's it at right now? 2.1 million views. The 2.1 million views, 37,000 likes, a lot of Japanese people quote tweeting, agreeing with me, reposting, commenting. I love you. I love you, my Japanese patriots. Keep fighting hard for your country to protect it from the ills of diversity and multiculturalism, but also protect it from the evils of feminism that is tearing apart your country. Get those birth rates up. Find a beautiful wife. Find a god. Well, we want Japan to be Christian too, but for now it's like broadly atheist and Shinto. But find a Chad man, get married, have lots of children, do all those great things in society we like to see. We're rooting for you, Japan. We're always rooting for you because even though Japan, yes, was Korea's enemy for most of Korea's history, we moved past that. And I believe, unlike many people in America, that we can acknowledge past sins, but move on into the future. That being said, we'll talk about those people on Media Watch. Okay, so this past weekend, of course, you had Juneteenth on Friday. And so this past weekend was just the entire country celebrating Juneteenth. Oh, Juneteenth. And I'll say one thing. The right-wingers who say Juneteenth is actually a cause to celebrate and you shouldn't get hate, you don't understand what time we're in, okay? Wake up. The more that you give credence to the framing and the language of the left, the ones who want to kill you and destroy your civilization, pull it under your feet and subvert it, we're not going to win. Language is the precursor to any political change movement or societal phenomena. You need to take control of language. And it's the more you give credence in rhetoric and in your language to the framing of your enemies, you will lose. Oh yeah, Juneteenth, it's about celebrating the emancipation of slaves. Isn't that a great thing? No! It's not a great thing to celebrate it. Why? Because it's all built on racial grievance politics. It's built on race Marxism. It is to continue the narrative that black people have done no wrong. They were so oppressed in society for all of America's past, so therefore they are absolved from any sins. They can commit no sins, and it is only the white man who is bad. And in extension, East Asians, because now they categorized East Asians as white adjacent. You need to stop adopting their framing. Was chattel slavery bad? Yes. I have no problem saying that as a Christian. But to say now we have to completely reorient society and flip society upside down in order to right the wrongs of the past so that you release violent criminals if they're black, you allow them to get into schools and disenfranchising Asian and white students, to give them free money and to continuously bow down backwards over them while you continuously demonize the heritage Americans who love America and who built America? Like, stop giving credence to the left. And that's why I appreciated Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk was so big on this. Not allowing the left to control the political and cultural discourse. Just say no. That's all you have to do. You're not a hateful person for saying no. We can say that chattel slavery was bad. That you shouldn't kidnap people and sell them into slavery, into an unknown land. That's bad. Torturing people, innocent people, that's bad. Meanwhile, also acknowledging that a very, very small percentage of Southerners own slaves. The person who owned the most black slaves in American history was actually a black man. Fun fact. You had African tribes sell each other out, sell other people, other black people away. Like we have to focus on the facts, the truth, and what we want in society. Now, that being said, just this weekend was just littered with reenactments of black people during slavery. Here's one in Atlanta that happened. They're in chains. And look, you just have all these black people watching them, recording it. Okay, I think that's good enough. I mean, just there's not much to see there. They're in chains. They're raising their fists in Black Power. I'll say one thing, and I'll say the obvious that people are too scared to say. Slaves were not eating that good back in the day. Like, they're really chunky. If you're gonna reenact slavery from the past, like, at least make it a little more realistic. Like, have some like skinnier people. Like, all you're doing in this scenario is showing that actually slaves didn't have it that bad, which is not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that. But if slaves were that chunky and overweight and obese in the past, maybe they were actually eating really well. That's not the message we want to send, right? We want to send, yes, like chattel slavery in the past was bad in American history. That is a sin and it is a blot in American history. It's not something we celebrate. Yes, that's all true. But to have these obese Black women, they're chunky, man. Like, they're obese. And people are asking, like, why are they so obese? And it's like, obviously, if you look through Black TikTok, food TikTok, they're just ingesting copious amounts of sugar, and just look at the Kool-Aid pineapples that they have, right? And just copious amounts of oil and fried food. It's just the most, it's like why do you think that they have the highest rates of obesity in America? Huh? We'll never know, but if we pointed out we're racist. But it's just, what I want to say is, well, let's look at this next one. They have another one where they're picking cotton from the ground.
Oh, freedom.
It's so performative. And the thing about Black grievance grifters and Black liberals, because Black conservatives and Black, genuine Bible believing Christians are not like this. But these huge swaths of the Black community, they make it their entire identity to identify with their past oppression. Like, that is literally why they continuously call for reparations. They continuously call for preferential treatment and advantages in society. Because why? They continuously identify with their past oppression they've never experienced. It's a perpetual loser mentality. This is what the third world does. This is the entirety of the third world, because the entirety of the third world was colonized by a more powerful superpower, namely Western and Far Eastern countries. This is all they do. They identify with their colonizer. That's why they always say, oh, I was a colonized country. We were colonized people. We were constantly colonized. We hate the colonizers. It's like, are you ever going to move on from that point? Korea was colonized. You know what Korea did? They became one of the richest countries in the world. And now Korea is richer per capita than a lot of European countries. It has companies valued at over $1 trillion. We project immense soft power into the world. We export products, technology, semiconductors, devices, technology. We export culture. What's your excuse? Korea was poorer than most sub-Saharan African countries in the 60s. What's your excuse? But that's their mindset. It's a perpetual victim-loser mindset. That's why things never improve for African countries. Things never improve for the Black community in America. And things never improve for the third world, largely speaking. Why? They have a perpetual victim mindset where they identify with their past oppression. That is the core part of their identity. Are you ever going to move on from it? Move on. And the funniest thing about all of this is that the reason why I laugh at this performative show of past slavery is because they are more angered and they spend all this energy, all these resources, all this money into focusing on past slavery when there are millions upon millions of slaves in Africa today. What happened to caring about the Black people worldwide? Black power worldwide. Oh yeah, Black power rise up across the globe. Where is your outrage? Like, seriously, they care more about past slavery than current slavery. It is so preposterous. And then even past slavery, they don't even care about the actual facts. Like I said, there are tons of black slave owners in America, but no, it was just the white man bad. Some of the biggest slave owners in America were black. There's this one queen that I looked up recently. Her name is Queen Nzingia. I don't even know how to pronounce it. But she was the queen over the kingdoms of Ndongo and Matamba. And she sold an estimated 200,000 other Africans to the European slave trade. Like, 200,000! That's a lot of slaves! That's a bigger population than a lot of towns and cities in America. Like, it's a copious amount of black people who were enslaved by who? Other black people. Hello? Who do you think was selling black slaves to the white man? It was fellow black people. Oh yeah, but conveniently leave that out. So they don't care about the actual facts of slavery, past slavery. They don't care about current slavery. And they're more outraged about the past slavery in America than the current plight of the black community in America, where they'll talk about these ethereal, non-tangible forces of white supremacy, systemic racism, what is the thing that they say about cops? Racial profiling. And then they say nothing. They say nothing about when black people are actually killed in crimes, when black people are actually murdered. They say nothing. It's such performative garbage. That's why I laugh. People, if you're watching this and you're outraged and you think I'm racist and I'm a mean person for laughing at this, no, like, you have to understand that your mind has been completely warped by the BLM framing. That you don't understand that this is all performative garbage. It's just a clown show, that they are focusing so much energy, so much grievance and emotions, right? They celebrate so much about their past. Like, literally, it's almost like a fetish. They celebrate it. It's like, look how oppressed we were. Instead of, hey, look how far we've come. That's why Frederick Douglass or Booker T. Washington or people like Clarence Thomas, Thomas Sowell, they're not celebrated in today's black economy. They're not. The most degenerate people are celebrated. The violent criminals like George Floyd, Carmelo Anthony, they're celebrated, mourned as martyrs for the cause. People like Martin Luther King Jr., who was a communist, who watched his friends sexually assault women, who constantly had affair after affair after affair, cheating on his wife, denied the divinity of Christ. He was a heretic. Oh yeah, he's an example. But not Clarence Thomas, not Thomas Sowell. It's preposterous. And so all the energy that they have can be spent in highlighting the plight of modern slaves. If you are to make a career out of talking about the ills of slavery, it's more important to combat slavery today than it is to focus on past slavery. Yet they don't do that because their morality is warped, their perspective is completely skewed. Their framework is a godless Marxist framework. Don't accept their framing. You need to stop because why? These are civilizational enemies who want to destroy your culture, your history, your traditions, your customs, and replace it with a godless, destructive version of what your country should be. That's why they continuously engage in this revisionist history. Look at this video. This was from Amsterdam this past weekend. The black woman is carrying, or not carrying, but lugging around this old white man in a dog chain. Look at this. I mean, it is just, what are we doing here? A black man dragging a white man, a black woman, sorry, dragging a white man around in chains by the neck. What are we doing here? White people, you need to stop doing this, please. Please. Like, I'm begging white people to stop bending over backwards. For black people who hate you, it makes no sense. You did not do anything wrong. You are not responsible for the sins of a very small percentage of your ancestors. You didn't own slaves. The probability of your ancestors owning slaves is very small. Like, why are you engaging in these humiliation rituals for black grievance grifters who take your goodwill and use it to completely humiliate you and destroy everything that you love? Why are you doing this? It's the same black people, the same white people who bowed at the feet of BLM. They literally bowed down at black people and they kissed their feet during BLM, during George Floyd. It was just utter humiliation. There's a video that I shared for you guys recently on Instagram and on X where an Asian dude was kissing the feet of black Hebrew Israelites to apologize for Rick Chow. What are we doing? Stop. Stop bending over backwards for black people who want to leverage your goodwill and basically enslave you, like we saw with this woman dragging around this white man in Amsterdam with the chains. What are we doing? Stop. And this is why, I hate to say this, but this is so true, if the races were reversed, people would be freaking out that a white man is going around dragging a black man in chains, dragging him by the neck. People will freak out. But because it's a black person doing it, people don't care. Do you see how ridiculous this all is? It's all so ridiculous. I wouldn't be in politics if it weren't for this ridiculous nonsense. Seriously. I was a pretty normie lib, like center-left lib in college, and then I got red-pilled at the last semester of college, and I was pretty insular. I'm like, you know what? Politics is not for me. I'm going to do my own thing, live a quiet life. And then BLM happened. I lost all my friends because they're all retarded. And they're saying that I hate black people. I want all black people to die because I didn't agree with BLM. And I don't think George Floyd was a great person. What? What? Are you kidding me? What are we doing here? And that's how you know these Christians are fake. Oh, you can't judge the genuineness of someone's faith. Yes, you can. I genuinely think you can. You know them by their fruits. And boba libs, white liberals, just liberals in general, they're more pissed about past oppression than current oppression. They care about past slavery and black people who are lynched, which wasn't that much, by the way, than current black people being killed on the streets right now. Every 6 months, there are more black people who die than all the black people combined during the Jim Crow era. Like, this is something that you don't even understand because people's minds have been so warped. This story happened this past weekend. You have the Chicago mayor. This guy, he says, too many transgender Chicagoans, the sense of belonging they deserve to in their community, in their city, has been denied by exclusion and barriers to opportunity in spaces that should be safe and welcoming. Since declaring a trans femicide state of emergency, our administration has strengthened the city's capacity to support LGBTQ plus Chicagoans. What? And then he has nothing to say about the shootout that happened this past weekend, the Juneteenth shootout that happened this past weekend. 7 killed and dozens injured following series of weekend shootings in Chicago. But the reality is now we know that 8 died, over 40 people were injured, including children. Black children are being shot in the face in Chicago regularly on the weekends and on the weekdays too. Where's BLM? Silence. They're like black lives don't matter to these people, to these grievance grifters, unless it's a black person that's killed by a white person, or it's a black person who is prosecuted because he killed a white person. It's so absurd. Like, no other group does this. No other racial group in America. Okay, maybe Jews. I don't know. Maybe Jews. But no other racial group does this, where they cater towards the lowest common denominator of their group, the worst people in their group. They don't do that. No one does that. Koreans aren't going around, if there's a Korean shooter, saying, oh man, poor him. We must defend him at all costs. No, it's like, throw that piece of garbage in jail. Lock him up for life. Give him the death penalty. But just because he is of your tribe doesn't mean that you excuse sin and destructive behavior. Actually, if you want the best for your community, you should condemn harmful and destructive behavior, and you should elevate good, ordered, proper behavior and decorum in society. But alas, the ones who do that are called, you want to be white so bad. Why are you studying so hard? Why are you speaking a proper English? Why are you wearing a three-piece suit? Why are you trying to be white? Meanwhile, the gangbangers, the thugs, they're all incentivized and they're all uplifted by the black community. It is such a dysfunctional community at this point. I don't know what else to say, but it is just so laughable at this point. It's like they hold on to abstractions and fiction about, Wakanda forever. We was Wakandans and she, right? And then they just completely ignore the actual problems in Africa and in the black community today, in America, and they continuously identify with their past oppression. Poor me, poor us, poor us. I can't do anything today because of the way that my ancestors were enslaved or colonized in the past. Dude, here's a reality check. Africans didn't have a written language. They didn't even have a wheel until Europeans came and colonized them. Like, you was never kings. You was never Wakandans. Okay, you have to understand reality and face the facts. But they don't. They don't care about the truth. They don't care about bettering themselves in their communities. All they want to do is constantly LARP about their past oppressions, put themselves in chains while they munch on KFC and Kool-Aid pineapple all day. It is just preposterous. We don't have to accept the absurdity. And if you're a Christian, if you're a conservative, don't adopt their framing. There's no reason to. There is no reason to. Because you're giving racial partiality and preferential treatment towards a group that, quite frankly, we saw with Austin Metcalf. A lot of these people want you dead. So wake up. Please wake up. We was kings. Not really. All right, thank you so much for listening. Like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. Do all those things. We are now answering your questions. Remember, we take your questions and we answer them on the show. We take it on X and on Instagram. And also, we take your super chats and answer your super chats, read your super chats live on air. So if you are interested in supporting what we're doing on the show, make sure to leave some super chats. We will get to our first question. First question comes from Otaku Sage. Love the name. Should we ban Islam from the West? Yes. Yes. Objective. We did, and we used to ban Islam in the West. Just do it again. That's all we have to do. Just do it again. Islam is a destructive force. It is not merely a religion. It is a political force. It is a religion of conquest. They're a dominating force. And they do so by subjecting your people. So, should we want this? No. First of all, they were the number one enemy of Christendom for all of Christian history. What do you think the Crusades were fought for? This idea that we should have a Christian-Muslim alliance, it is peak retardation. Like, the Christian-Muslim alliance is peak retardation. If you're genuinely advocating for that as a Christian, I'm sorry, I have to question your sanity. Like, what are you thinking? These people want you dead. Who is the number one persecutor of Christians worldwide? It's Islam. It's Islam. You look at all the number one terrorist groups, you look at all the groups and in the places and in the countries where Christians are tortured, beheaded, imprisoned for their faith. The number one force behind it is Islam. Why are you even considering a Christian-Muslim alliance? Are you dumb? Gosh, like I can't even imagine how smooth your brain is. What are we doing here? Muslims hate Christians. Oh yeah, Islam reveres Jesus as a prophet. At least they do that. In the Talmud, they believe that Jesus is burning in hell. Yeah, so we shouldn't have a Christian-Jewish alliance either. That's not what I'm proposing. But this idea that we should have a Christian-Muslim alliance is so stupid. It is peak foolishness. What are you doing? They hate you. They want you dead. And they're coming to our countries and subverting our countries, coming into our countries, invading as an invasion force, setting up mosques, taking churches and building mosques, making it into mosques, repurposing it into mosques. They're flooding the streets, doing the performative prayers. They're doing the chest thing that is so annoying and grating. They're forcing restaurants to have halal food. I mean, come on, what are we doing? Like, why do you want this? I don't want this in a society. I want a Christian society. We should ban Islam. There's nothing good. What is the upside? Like, people have to convince me. If you had to convince me what the upside is, what are the benefits of allowing Islam into our country? They can't say anything. The only thing that they say is plurality, inclusion, freedom of religion. Freedom of religion in America, the First Amendment was meant so that Christian denominations would not fight with one another. It's not so that every single religion under the sun ever conceived throughout human history would be allowed in America. We used to have blasphemy laws in America. You used to be arrested, ostracized from public life if you denied the divinity of Christ, if you blasphemed Jesus Christ in public. Muslims, that includes them. That used to be the norm in American society. That's what America was built on as a Christian nation. But an ecumenical Christian nation where different states could have their own state religions, you got the Quakers, you have the Reformers, you have the Catholics, but you can still have, broadly speaking, a Protestant country, but an ecumenical Christian country. That's what America was founded on. It was unapologetically a Christian country. We can get back to that. Every single European country for the past 2,000 years were unapologetically Christian. We can get back to that. There's nothing hateful about that. It is actually not only loving to your neighbors so that they don't get fooled and subjected to Islam, but it's also loving your God. We want a nation that honors God, the God of the Bible, the true one God, the creator of the universe, Jesus Christ, the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords. That's who we want our nation to honor. Freedom, this modern conception of freedom of religion is actually not only anti-American, but it's anti-Christian. As a Christian, there's no reason why you should tolerate a destructive force, and a very pernicious one at that, like Islam. Now, I'm actually a little more, let's say, tolerant of more insular religions like Buddhism and Confucianism. They're not as aggressive, and they're not religions of conquest, and they don't spread like Islam does. Like, they're very insular. So you have a lot of Buddhist monks do their own thing, like dong, 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 right? And then Confucianism is kind of more, not really like a religion, more so like it's a way of life where you honor and you revere your ancestors. That being said, Christ is king. And so the goal, at least the end goal for every nation, for the Christian politically, is to have a nation that honors Christ. Go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe all that I have commanded you. And behold, I am with you until the end of the age. Matthew 28, 18 to, I think 20. What's our command as Christians is to make disciples of all nations, right? So that the nations become Christian, that they submit to Christ. They know the God who loves them, who died on the cross for them, sent his one and only Son to die on the cross for them. That's what we want. Because why? In God, there's life everlasting. There's peace and love, joy. And we're going to spend eternity somewhere. We want to make heaven full as a Christian. So we want our nations to be Christian. There's nothing inherently wrong about that. And that's why we can't allow Islam, okay? We can't allow Islam. And Islam is such a pernicious religion, but it's also like the most ridiculous one. I learned today. So, you already know, I think a lot of people already know this, like eating pork is haram. Playing instruments is haram. Owning pets like a dog is haram. But did you know that sleeping on your back is also haram? You're not allowed to. There's some hadiths that say also that peeing while standing up, peeing while standing up is haram in the traditional hadiths. Like, can you? It's such a goofy religion. And set aside how pernicious and evil it is is such a goofy religion. It is a performative religion. Oh yeah, playing music and instruments is haram. You're not allowed to own dogs. You pee standing up, haram. What? But then they allow child marriages and rape? What? They allow having sex with goats. What? Wait, what are we doing? It is such a goofy religion. It makes no sense. And for me, like, I will never understand. You watch these Muslim Christian debates, none of them at all ever can condemn the actions of the Prophet Muhammad. Why? Because he's like a god to them. But it's incontrovertibly true that Muhammad married a 6-year-old and consummated the marriage when she was 9. No one disputes this. Muslims don't dispute this. You know what they say? They say that she was the age of maturity. I am not even exaggerating when I say Islam is a religion of pedophiles. Like, it really is. Why do you think that the rape gangs were primarily all done by Muslims in the UK for 250,000 young British girls? Hello? As young as 11, 10, really young girls. It is a religion of pedophilia. That's literally what it is. Their prophet, the founder of the religion, was a pedophile. And I don't say that lightly. Like, I know that claim is so thrown out to, like, for example, if a 30-year-old starts dating a 19-year-old, they're like, oh, it's pedophile. No, it's not pedophile. She's a grown adult. But it's like, genuinely, 9 years old. I saw this video of my friend Michael Jones of Inspiring Philosophy, great Christian, great apologist. He does a lot of debates with Muslims. There's this one Muslim who said, you know, there's cases of girls being able to get pregnant at 5, and that'd be permissible under Islam. I'm like, bro, there is no reason why we need to allow this in our countries. You must be seriously mentally ill if you think it's a good idea to import Islam into our countries. Their apologists are coming out and saying that a girl getting as pregnant as young as 5, which doesn't happen because they're not the age of maturity, but they're saying, oh yeah, even if they're 5 and they can get pregnant, that's permissible in Islam. Stop being scared of being called Islamophobic, okay? Like, I care more about the protection of our children and our daughters than I do about not offending Muslims. Get a grip. Wake up, Christian. Do not conform to the patterns of this world. Be sober-minded and stand in boldness conviction. Stop being scared. Islam needs to be banned in the West. It has no place in the West and also in the East. It's increasing in Korea and Japan. It must be stopped at all costs. It is completely destructive. And I'll say this, last thing I'll say about this Islam thing is just the feminists who, you know, convert to Islam. It's so weird. Like, you see these feminists online who convert to Islam, and it's like, how does that even make any sense? Like, you go from, yeah, free the nipple, to, oh, I'm going to cover up everything. And like, you can't even see my eyes. I'm sorry, I don't want to live in a society like that. I don't want to live in a society where women are going around with a shower curtain over their entire body. I think that a female beauty is something, actually a good thing to behold. I think it is. Not in a lustful way, but, you know, you appreciate female beauty. I think that's a good thing. Women shouldn't have to cover their faces. That's ridiculous. And then all the edgy right-wingers are like, oh yeah, but as Islam got their women under control. Yeah, they subjugate them. I don't want to subjugate women. Like, I actually don't value that. And all that being said, yes, Islam must be banned from the West and the East, wherever it is. Like, it is just a pernicious ideology. And insofar as, you know, people want to be Muslim in their own Muslim countries, whatever, do so. But I just don't want it in my country. I don't want it in society. I don't want my children exposed to it. There's no reason why you should want it. And if you want to honor God, you love the Lord with all your heart, soul, and mind and strength, yes, you would oppose Islam. It's false religion. Next question. NTXVDCRX. All right. Do you have any words of wisdom for the female fans of K-pop in Colombia who gravitate towards leftist values? Okay, so we talked about Colombia today on today's program. We love Colombia. Viva la Colombia. By the way, Colombia is great food. Salchipapa, incredible. Absolutely remarkable. It is so fattening. I felt gross after. It was so delicious. If you don't know what salchipapa is, it's like loaded fries, but on steroids. It's incredible. It's just they just meat, all different kinds of meat, cheese, sauces, fries. Oh, incredible. It's one of the greatest things I've ever had in my life. So we love our Colombians. My advice to leftist girls who lean left, who love K-pop. I mean, you're just going to see a lot of these global K-pop fans like this. My advice is think about why you like K-pop, why you like Korean dramas. Yeah, you might like K-pop for the showy aspect. You might like it for the entertainment value and the pop and flair. But the reason why you like K-pop is because still in Korean society, maybe to a fault, but in Korean society, they uphold beauty as something to aspire for. That's right wing. Now, if you do so in lieu of all the other important things in society, yeah, like that's wrong. You can always get to a point where you take a virtue and you pervert it into a vice. That's all true. I think some of the beauty standards in Korea can be unhealthy. But largely speaking, the reason why K-pop is so popular, you look at K-pop and all these girls swoon over these K-pop boy bands, right? And we also see the girl groups. They're all pretty, they're slim, they're beautiful because Korea still values beauty. Now, you might say it's such a superficial beauty. Yeah, but outward beauty is still a part of beauty. It's not superficial. It is actually a good thing to desire to look your best in public, but also for people. So think about, why do you like K-pop so much? Well, they're talented, so that's also right-wing, right? Excellence is right-wing, but also beauty is right-wing. And so in that regard, like, you like beautiful, talented people who are good at dancing, who are good at singing, rapping, whatever it is that they do. Yeah, like that's right-wing. So you can't be left-wing because left-wing is all about the egalitarianism, equality. K-pop is the cream of the crop in Korean society. So the nature of why you like K-pop, I'm not saying the K-pop industry itself is right-wing, but the nature of why you like K-pop is right-wing. You value beauty, you think talent and excellence is good. And yes, K-pop idols are the cream of the crop in Korean society. So that's right-wing, hierarchy, right? Those things are right-wing. But when it comes to Korean dramas, think about, why do the Korean drama heartthrobs hit home so much? Why do you love the story of the Korean drama? The actor, he comes in and he saves a woman, sweeps her off her feet. Even if she's like the CEO of a huge conglomerate in Korea, even if she's like the head of a chaebol, why is it still that you like when a man comes in, saves her? You know, I don't know if you guys watched Perfect Crown recently. And the premise is that the monarchy never dissolved from Korea because Japan didn't colonize Korea. So then it's a modern constitutional monarchy in Korea. And then the crown prince, like there's a scene where he comes in and he saves his future wife from an animal, a boar, I think. No. That's I'm confused. That's a Queen of Tears. Sorry, that's Queen of Tears. Kim Soo-yeon came in and like saved the girl that he liked, his wife. But yeah, so it's like comes in, guy comes in, shooting, boom, saves the girl from a threat. And like in Perfect Crown, for example, she was driving and like someone tampered with her brakes. And then so she couldn't stop her car. And she was really scared. She didn't know what to do. And then the crown prince comes in with his car. And then gets in front of the car. And at the risk of his own life, the car collides with his car. And he saves her life, slows down the car. Girls love that. They're like, oh, so beautiful. So 멋있어. So wonderful. Why? That's masculine. That is traditional. That is right wing. A man being a protector for the woman. You never see in Korean dramas that are popular, the woman come in and save the guy's day from imminent danger. You don't see that because it doesn't work. Why? Because right-wing values are universal principles that resonate with every single human being. Because right-wing values and right-wing structures are rooted in reality, but also in goodness, truth, and beauty. So all the best Korean dramas, the best examples of K-pop, the reason why you like it is because it's right-wing. Again, I'm not saying the industry is right-wing. A lot of these actors and celebrities are super hard left in Korea. But what I am saying is that the reason why you like K-pop is because you see a good-looking man, a tall man, a beautiful woman, a talented one who can sing, dance. They're the cream of the crop. They're the aspirations for society. There's a hierarchy. No one is equal. Not everyone is the same. And they're not trying to quash distinctions among groups of people. Yes, that's right wing. That's right wing. And left wing, like left-wingers try to squash all distinctions among peoples. Because why? Left-wing ideology is an ideology of envy because they abhor and they don't like that some people have more than they do. And I think that's actually why K-pop has so much of an overlap between the Global South leftists, is because a lot of, I believe, Global South leftists are very insecure. That's why, like we said previously, they constantly identify with their past colonial status. We used to be colonized. We were colonized. We were oppressed in the past. That's their entire identity. So they're so insecure. And then when they see just pure examples of greatness and beauty coming from Korea, they're like, oh, wow. They're like captivated by it. But that's why you see a lot of leftist K-pop stans and Korea drama fans try to tear down Korea now too, because they're like, oh, I love it. Wait, that's not fair. They used to be one of the poorest countries in the world. Now they're like on the world stage. There's something wrong there. Okay, I'm gonna tear down Korean society. I'm gonna have a false. I'm gonna create a false image of Korea and Korean people. See, they're just nasty, nasty people. So reject leftism, reject jealousy and envy, appreciate goodness, truth, and beauty. That's what I have to say to the Colombian girls who love K-pop. And I was in Colombia last year, and it's so funny. Everywhere I went in Colombia, they were like, Coreano, Coreano. And there's so many of them. They're like, oh, un photo. And I'm like, dang, I feel like a celebrity in Colombia. They love me here. So I love Colombians. I know a lot of Colombians love Koreans. But that's what I would have to say to girls who love K-pop and Korean dramas, but lean left. Understand that it is because of right-wing values that you like said media. Do we have any super chats for today? We have 2 super chats. Let's go. Thank you so much. You guys are incredible. Thank you so much to my community for your super chats. Let's look at these super chats. Okay. First super chat. Oh, Kodiak, what's up? Kodiak3382 says, for $5, here's a hot take. Tradwifery is vague and based on a 1950s construct. Throughout history, women have worked alongside men. Some even did great things. Yes, I agree. I actually reject the whole 1950s conception of women not working at all, just staying at home, making sourdough. Women's responsibility is mainly to the home, as we see in Titus 2 in scripture, but they were always helping out in the home, but also supporting their husband. And that's what it was before the Industrial Revolution, where you had local economies, local family businesses, where the woman would support the man in his endeavor, so she would also work. And so women weren't always just idly at home doing nothing and just taking care of the kids and doing household chores. They were working, I agree. But it was always in, 1, submission to their husband, and 2, to support the family business. So it wasn't untethered from her husband. And that's why actually I think modernity is problematic, because you have men and women, they have different career trajectories, different career paths, areas. And then so what happens is they're supposed to be one flesh, but what they work towards and the entirety of their work days are in opposition to one another. And that doesn't really result in a very conducive, cohesive togetherness marriage. So I agree with you. Yes, like the modern, what a lot of people like to think about the trad wife aesthetic, it's not actually emblematic of genuine traditional family values and family formation. That being said, we got to take it a step further in that the nuclear family is not actually a viable model for the family. What I mean by that is I'm not saying that we shouldn't have men, woman, child, right? Like male, female, husband, wife, child. That's not what I'm saying. I am saying that that's a good thing, but nuclear family isolated from each other and just as one unit, it's actually not the way that we're meant to live. We're supposed to meant to live in a community, in a village where we have resources, a support system. And to ask women, and maybe this is my most libtarded take, but to ask women to live a traditional lifestyle where they're mainly to the home without a support network of people who will like be with them, support them, help them, it's actually unfair. And that's why I'm so against mass immigration and diversity. And I'm not only against immigration from the third world and foreign countries, but I'm actually against like mass migration between states. Like, we're not meant to be nomadic. We're supposed to set up communities. We're not supposed to be rootless cosmopolitans. We're supposed to be rooted, and rootedness is actually a virtue. And so if you have people just keep moving in and out of your community, then you don't have sustainable, long-term, thriving communities that can form. And so when you move into a city or a town or a suburb, you move to a home, and then the person next to you is like some Indian family who is Hindu and doesn't speak your language, speaks like Gujarati or Punjabi or whatever. And then the person next to you is a Senegalese immigrant family, and then the other family across from you is a Korean family, and then you're like a white family. Yeah, like that's not conducive to a healthy community that allows for traditional lifestyles. Why? Because you're going to feel isolated. You share nothing in common with these people. You don't share the same gods. You don't have the same values. You don't speak the same language. What do you have to share? And so what we have to do is, if we want, as Christians and as conservatives, just as normal, well-meaning people who want good change in society, we need to move towards like villages and communities and not isolated units. And the nuclear family cannot be the only framework by which we understand political organizing in a society, like infrastructure and community building. And we have to get away from just like women are stuck at home. They do nothing else except take care of the kids and do household chores. No, like women are meant to do that, but also in the context of a vibrant community. That's why, like I said previously, women, their instincts are so good for community building. Welcoming everyone to play dates and make sure the kid isn't left out. Oh yeah, like, hey, you want to go for brunch with me and Becky and Jenny? Yeah, let's do it. Great, that's so great. But that doesn't scale to politics, right? And governing a country. So we all have our place and we all have our role in society, in the family, but we love women and I want to see women thrive. I actually don't think it's a good thing to see so many miserable hags and psychopaths running amok among the female population. Next super chat. Kodiak again for $5. Did you know that during the early days of Islam, after conquest, they tended to give people who didn't convert extra tax but didn't harm them at all? Yeah, but why should we want that in a society? We shouldn't want to be extra taxed because we're not Muslim. Why should we want that? Like, even for me in my politics, I'm pretty much like an equitable theonomist. And I believe that a lot of the Old Testament laws can serve as a reference for what is righteous governance and legislation. That being said, it's like I don't think we should ever tax someone more because they're not Christian. I don't know. That's not something that sits well with me. I think if someone is blaspheming Christ in public, then yes, they should be punished like they were for American history, most of American history. But yeah, I don't think that it's a good thing. So yeah, whether they're doing it through conquest or subjugating your woman, or they're just inviting themselves in masses in like the millions and hundreds of thousands into your country, I don't want an Islamic takeover. Now, to be fair, I believe that the Islamic takeover, Sharia law, freak out from the right is not bad. It's just like you're kind of getting there, but the reality is the more important societal ill to talk about than Islam itself is leftism. Like leftism, liberalism is what allows for Muslim conquest. And if you don't cut the root problem, you're just going to put a Band-Aid if you keep constantly posturing about Sharia law in America. That's not, like, that can happen, and I don't want Muslims and, Islam proliferating in America, but the root cause is this gay race communism. These leftist anarchists, these leftists who abet this and allow this, the Democrats who allow this. That's the root cause. Like, they're the ones who bring them in. So we got to stop them and destroy them, crush them in politics before we can address even the mass deportation and remigration issue. All right, thank you so much for your super chats, Kodiak. We have our last super chat, Cold and Stinky, $2 super chat. Nothing much. Stand tall, Kongmin Lee. Thank you so much for your $2 super chat, Cold and Stinky. God bless you. God bless you, Kodiak. Thank you all for your super chats. Thank you so much for your questions. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. Do all those things. Leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcast. And for the end of our show, I think it'd be a good idea actually to leave with a quick prayer, because all things that we do in politics, in culture, we always want to point people back to Christ. Why? Because he is the one and true purpose in life. And the kingdom of God is more precious than like the treasure hidden in a field. It's something that we should want for every person, for all people. So I'll do a quick prayer and we'll end us, and that will do it for our show today. So Lord Jesus, we thank you so much for every single person listening. We thank you so much that you're a good and sovereign God. We believe that you're in control of all things. Lord, may you be magnified and glorified in the works of your people. May the Christians, those who bear your name, be your hands and feet to help the hurting and the lost, to rescue the lost, to really uplift those who are truly vulnerable and oppressed in society. May we bring light to the truth. May we crush the darkness. May we expose acts of wickedness with boldness and conviction. And may you rise up leaders in the church, among Christians, and in this country and countries across the world, leaders who love your word, who will stand boldly for your truth and glorify your name in everything that we do. Lord, we pray for the suffering people, that you'd be their refuge and their strength. And Father, that you would always be with us. Give us courage, give us boldness. Lord, we need you, and we believe and we declare that if you are for us, and who can be against us? We trust in your promises that you will always be with us till the end of the age. Lord, you are our provider, you are our protector. Be our refuge and our strength. Be our solace and our peace. Lord, we thank you so much for everything. I pray that you would continue to enact justice and bring about justice in this world, in this wicked and cruel world that we live in. But Lord, we know that your goodness, your gospel, your love is the answer to all of these things. We love you. We thank you. In Jesus' name, pray. Amen. God bless you. Godspeed. Have a great rest of your Tuesday and Wednesday. We'll see you back here on Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern. Until then, I pray you continue to seek the Lord in everything that you do. Glorify him in all that you do, whether you eat or drink. Bring all glory to God and stand firm in the truth. That's what we do around here. We restore faith, identity, and civilization, who we are, where we're going. We talk all about these things. Until next time, this is your host, Kongmin Lee. See you guys.